In this video, I want to take everybody out there step by step on showing that God has declared 2025 the rapture year and even given us a date, all from the very beginning. And I've shown many of these things before, but I want to do it step by step and slowly so that everybody from the least to the greatest out there can understand. On the top left, you will see the name Adam in Hebrew, and there are 3 letters. And in modern Hebrew, it reads from the right to the left. So on the far right, you will see the letter Aleph. In the middle, you will see the letter Dalet. And at the far left, you will see the letter Mem. Then, if you look on the bottom right, you'll see a picture of all of the modern Hebrew letters and their numerical value in standard Hebrew gematria. And I put red dots on every letter so that you can see the value. The Aleph on the top right equals 1. The Dalet below that equals 4. And the Mem to the left of that equals 40. 1, 4, and 40. Add it together. The name Adam in modern Hebrew equals the number 45. The number 45. That's incredible because the number 45 is the square root of the number 2025. What does that mean? That means that 45 times itself, 45, equals 2025. God made Adam, the first man ever created, on the 6th day. He made his name equal 45, which is already pointing to the year 2025. And this was done because God declares the end from the beginning. Isaiah 46:10. Even when you take 45 to a clock, it equals 2025. The 4 is 20 minutes and the 5 is 25 minutes. 45 is 2025. Now that we know the year that God was pointing to with Adam was 2025, what about the event within this year? How can we see a rapture for sure in 2025 with Adam? Genesis chapter 5, verse 5. And all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. What about Noah's flood? When did that happen? In the context of the biblical story, 1656 represents the year Noah's flood is believed to have occurred, calculated from the genealogies in Genesis. Specifically, it signifies the year 1656 after the creation of Adam. Okay, so from the creation, Adam lived 930 years. And from the creation, Noah's flood was 1656 years. Now the calculation that I'm going to show you is so undebunkable. It's not even imaginable that this is even real. We already know that Adam is automatically pointing to 2025 with the numerical value of his name. So now we are looking not for the year, but for the event that is going to take place in this year, 2025. So let's calculate how many years between Adam's death and Noah's flood. Okay, we know that Noah's flood was 1656 years from creation. And we know that Adam died 930 years from creation. So how we find the difference between those two numbers is subtract. 930 subtracted from 1656. The year difference between the age that Adam died, 930, and later on, Noah's flood. The exact amount of years to the T is 726 years. 726. There's our event in 2025. Just in case anybody doesn't know, that number 726 in the Bible is the word harpazo in the Greek, in the New Testament. And it means to snatch, take by force, carry off, snatched away. That is the number 726, harpazo, and it is used to describe what we call the rapture. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verses 16 and 17, the King James Bible. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God. And the dead in Christ shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up. There's the word harpazo. Caught up together with them in the clouds, to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. So let's do a brief summary of where we are at. The name Adam equals 45, which is pointing directly to 2025. And from Adam's death to the flood of Noah is exactly 726 years, which is the exact number for the word harpazo, which is what we call the rapture. So we have a year and an event for that year. Isn't it absolutely mind-boggling that when you take the dimensions of Noah's Ark, the length was 300 cubits, the breadth was 50 cubits, and the height was 30 cubits, and you multiply them twice, 300 times 50 times 30 times 300 times 50 times 30, you get the number 2025 with 8 zeros. Just some icing to top this Rapture 2025 cake. And it was 8 people that got on the ark, and 8 means new beginnings. And the man-child in Revelation 12, for us, is circumcised the 8th day, or the 8th year, from the Revelation 12 side. Noah and his family in the ark, going and floating up in the waters, was a picture of us floating up above the flood in the rapture. We know there's not going to be another worldwide flood of natural water, but we know that it is going to be a flood of chaos and destruction. And actually, natural water floods will happen as well. Disasters like tsunamis, tidal waves, dams breaking, you name it, it's all going to go down at the rapture. We go up and Satan comes down. And it even gets crazier than that. because the number 726 for the word harpazo, which means caught up, the rapture, if you multiply it to itself in reverse, or its reflection, 627, you get the amount of 45, and then if you read it from right to left, 2025. That's completely insane. Because 45 is the square root of 2025. Can you guys see that? 45, and then go from right to left, it's 2025 for the number 726 when you multiply it to itself in reverse. Yeah. It's clinched up, guys. It's clinched up for 2025. Get your tickets now. You know, we're going. Not to mention that all of these people's names in the Bible equal the number 45, pointing to the year 2025, which is Enoch, and he was raptured, Elijah, and he was raptured, and Daniel, which was all about the Antichrist and Jacob's trouble. And also Psalm 45 is all about a royal wedding between Jesus and the church. And then in Psalm 46, you have a picture of Jacob's trouble. 46 being 20 plus 26, 2026. So God has clearly left us numbers in the Bible so that we can find our way. Now I want to talk a little bit about the date of the rapture, which I believe is coded into the number 45, also, which is the value of Adam's name. And this is when you multiply 45 times 45 times 45, 3 times, not twice, you get the numbers 9, 11, 25. So we have a month, 9, we have a day, 11, and we have a year, 2025. We have a date from multiplying the value of Adam's name, 45, 3 times. We have 9, 11, 25. Not only do we have a date, we have, from the very beginning, a date that is for 2025. And it's, of all dates, 9/11. One of the most infamous dates that there is because of what happened in 2001 on 9/11, which was actually 7/11, because September is actually the 7th month and November is the 9th month, as we've recently learned. And the interesting thing is, this is very interesting. So the Twin Towers were done on actually 7/11, and you go to Genesis 7:11, and that's the chapter and verse that the flood begins. But now if you go to the true 9/11, which is November 11th, I believe that this is the actual day that the flood began. Because 7/11 was the chapter and verse that it began, which is September 11th. But November 11th, 9/11 or 11/11, is, I believe, the actual day that the flood began. November 11th started as the first Armistice Day in 1919. See some 9/11s there, right? Proclaimed by the President Woodrow Wilson to commemorate the end of World War I. Now look at this, which occurred on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918. It became a legal holiday in the U.S. in 1938 and was later changed to Veterans Day in 1954 to honor all American veterans of all wars. Here's something that really caught my eye, though, about November 11th. Congress passed an act making November 11th a legal national holiday. Now, here it is, dedicated to world peace and the veterans of World War I. That's amazing because, right, in 1 Thessalonians 5, we know that when they say peace and safety, sudden destruction comes upon them. And November 11th has been declared years ago as a day of world peace. We know that November 11th is a true 9/11, but it is also 11/11 today. Jeremiah 11:11. Therefore, this is what the Lord says. I am going to bring disaster on them that they cannot escape. Though they cry out to me, I will not listen to them. That is 1 Thessalonians 5. And they will not escape sudden destruction. This verse is a message of divine judgment from the prophet Jeremiah to a rebellious people. It signifies the severe consequences of turning away from God's commands and highlights that God's protection will be withheld from those who are persistent in their disobedience. Jeremiah 11:11. And so, as we saw, Adam is connected to Noah's flood through the number 726, which is harpazo. Caught up, just like the ark, went up, floated up above the flood, and the rain came down. But this time it's going to be fire. Now, I would like to make a disclaimer that I am not ruling out that this date that we're given is not according to the biblical calendar, according to the new moons either. So we know that the full moon now is the actual new moon, and the 9th month or month would be in December. And that full moon that would begin the 9th month on the moon calendar would be on December 3rd. That would be the beginning of the 9th month, called Kislev, and the 11th day would be actually December 14th. So that would be December 14th would be 9/11 on the biblical, or some people call it the Jewish calendar. December 14th is 9/11, Kislev 11. So I'm not saying that's not possible either. But I lean towards this date being, according to our calendars today, either the Julian or the Gregorian, because of the year at the end. That is not a Jewish or a biblical year, 25. That's symbolic of 2025. And there is no year 2025 on a biblical or Jewish year. So that leads me to think that this entire date is according to the calendars that we work with today, which would be the Gregorian or Julian, which would make this, in my opinion, 9/11 on the Julian calendar, which therefore 9/11 on the Julian calendar would be 9/24 on the Gregorian calendar at the same time. And isn't that ironic that we have lots of predictive programming for 9/11 and also 9/24, because there's a 13-day difference between the Julian and the Gregorian calendar. That's just my opinion. Now let's check out some predictive programming. This is the movie Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines, when they go in the bunker as the nukes go off.
Why didn't he tell us? Why did he lead us down here? To live. That was his mission.
Did you guys catch the clock? Watch it go to 9/11. Bam. Bam. Did you see it? You see that? Let's do an extreme close-up. Can you see 9/11 now? I think everybody could see it, because I could see it and I'm half blind. And remember, this is the ending of the movie, when they are led into the mountain bunker and the nukes go off, and that's it. They flash 9/11 on the clock. We all remember this movie, right? And you can see to the left the 9, and in the middle, the tire tracks that are on fire, the 11. So again, they flash 9/11 as Marty McFly skips out of time at the clock tower. Now we go to Luke 10:18. And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. Now, we just saw lightning fall from heaven, right? In Back to the Future. Well, and then Marty McFly vanished, kind of like a rapture at the same time. Like Revelation chapter 12, the man-child is caught up and the dragon is cast down. We're the man-child. Christ in us, the hope of glory. And this happened in Back to the Future, and they flashed 9/11. Lightning falling from heaven. Well, watch this. Luke 10:18 says that Jesus beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. Luke 10:18. 10:18 plus its reflection 8101 equals 9/11 and 9/11 in reverse. Isn't that interesting? Matthew 24:38, for as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and given in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark. Now, this is interesting to me as well, because it's going to be like the days of Noah, and Noah got in the ark about 7 days before the flood actually hit. So could we be looking at 7 days before 9/11, and then on 9/11 it hits? Well, something interesting to think about, to keep in mind, is that 7 days before November 11th is about November 5th. And that is the full moon in November. So, I'll leave you guys with that. Number 1 rapture video of the year. So the true 9/23 and 24, again, has not passed. And neither has the true 9/11.